All right, with that being said, I'm your teacher today, Brother Jared, and reading for me today is my esteemed brother and colleague, Brother Rashad.
Sabbath.
And now we are going to go ahead and get started with today's lesson, which is saved people win. Saved people win, because I hear a lot of conversation. I've always heard a lot of conversation about people claiming that they're saved and thinking that they've already made it across the finish line, that they've already made it into the end zone. And we're going to take a look at some things to see if that's the case. And we're going to even understand what the word saved means in its proper connotations, because sometimes saved is not talking about the big picture, but we'll point that out as well. So let's go ahead and get this started in Luke chapter 10, because we have a lot of places to go. Luke chapter 10 and verse 16. Luke 10 and verse 16. We're going to pick this up at 16. We're going to go all the way through 20. When you get there, go ahead and read.
He that heareth you heareth me.
Right?
And he that despiseth you despiseth me. And he that despiseth me despiseth him that sent me.
So when you have the true word, the one that hears you or despises you is the one that doesn't want to hear the Lord or despises the Lord. Keep going.
And the 70 returned again with joy,
Right?
saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name.
Because they went out preaching the word. But when they came back, they realized that even Satan and the devils were subject unto the Lord's name. But what did Jesus say?
And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven.
Right?
Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions.
Right?
And over all of the power of the enemy, and nothing shall be any means hurt you.
Keep going.
Notwithstanding in this rejoice not, that the spirits are subject unto you.
Right. So that's not the part to rejoice over, the fact that you have spirits subject unto you. This is not about having subjects. Go ahead.
But rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven.
But rejoice that your name is written in heaven. That doesn't mean you're going to heaven. That means that your name is written in the book that's in heaven. And we'll take a look at that book all afternoon, rather. So now, rejoice at that one thing, because that means you have RSVP. RSVP is different from someone that's actually at the function or the engagement or at the party. Your name is written on the invite list. So that doesn't mean you've already obtained it. Now let's go backwards. Let's go to Jude. Jude, it's only one chapter, but I say chapter 1. Jude chapter 1 and verse 3. Because out of all people, the children of Israel shall understand this concept, but there's a lot of doctrine that's proliferating around here that's trying to say that they have already obtained salvation. They are saved already. They've already got it. They already have it in their pocket. But we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to see if Israel understood these basic concepts, or some people need to go back to remedial training. Jude chapter 1 and verse 3. When you get there, Brother Rashad, go ahead and read.
Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation.
Of the what salvation?
Common salvation.
Common to everyone, not personal. This isn't a personal paying pizza. Common to everybody. Go ahead.
It was needful for me to write unto you.
Right.
And exhort you that ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. Right.
You have to contend for the faith. It's because you can't say that you already obtained everything, but then why are you still contending? Earnestly. Go ahead.
That was 3.
Go ahead and jump down to verse 5. Verse 5.
I will therefore put you in remembrance.
In other words, I will put you in remembrance. Not saying I'm remembering you, but I'm trying to get you to remember something else. Go ahead.
Though ye once knew this.
You once knew this. You were once enlightened to this information. Go ahead.
How that the Lord,
right,
having saved the people.
Did what?
Saved the people.
Saved the people. Which people? The people that came out of Egypt. Having saved the people, go ahead.
Out of the land of Egypt.
Out of the land of Egypt.
Afterward destroyed them that believe not.
Afterward. Out of all the people walking the earth, the children of Israel shall understand that there's a afterward. So because you were rescued did not mean that you obtained salvation. So afterward destroyed the people. Go ahead.
And the angels, which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation.
So who else should understand this? Even the angels, because they did not keep their first estate. In other words, they didn't stay in heaven. They're out of heaven now. Go ahead.
He have reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day.
He has them reserved. We're going to see what this reservation is for. Because some people have RSVP for the kingdom, and some people are reserved or RSVP for the bad side of the kingdom. That doesn't mean that anyone has obtained the full punishment yet, and no one has obtained the full package as far as the benefits of the kingdom yet. That's the end of verse 6?
That was 6.
Go ahead and give me Numbers chapter 11. But while y'all turn to Numbers 11, we're going to grab a graphic real quick. Out of all the people walking this earth, the children of Israel and those that have been instructed correctly shall understand this concept most importantly, because you were saved from Egypt first. In other words, rescued, but did not fully obtain what you were meant to obtain. So then you had a chance to come out of Egypt or be saved, but then you were crushed from the earth opening up in number 16. Then you had many that were slain by the priests for doing idolatry in Exodus chapter 32. Didn't seem like they were completely saved as far as the big picture as of yet. Then you had some that were killed for murmuring in the camp, getting fiery serpents hit upon them. They had to go to look upon the brass serpent that was put up on the wooden pole, and they would look upon that and show faith and then obtain healing. Then you had people that were stoned for breaking the Sabbath day. Then you even had people that died from various plagues that were going throughout the camp. Over and over. I always wonder why the book of Numbers is named the book of Numbers. I see a bunch of numbers. I see a lot of death in the book of Numbers. A lot of people dying and dropping because they didn't finish the race. Then I see people dying from eating quails or attempting to eat quails in the book of Numbers. And we can read about how many people died from that. Then people that were burnt from fire from God out of heaven. But we saved from Egypt. But that doesn't mean you have obtained the full promise. Then you even have people that were killed for slandering the land. They brought an evil report up on the land that they were supposed to go to, and they died in the land that they were only sojourning in. Then you even have some in the same chapter try to war against Amalek and Canaan for not listening, but now they're going to try to get brave now. Now they don't have fear. Now they're going to step up and trying to finish the job, and they were killed by the Amalekites and the Canaanites in the same chapter because they weren't fully saved. Then you have some that were hung facing the sun and dying from the plague and dealing with all types of illicit behavior, as we'll see. Because out of all the people shall understand, when someone says, I am saved, I always ask context. Because the children of Israel were relocated from Egypt, but they did not get into the land that they were promised, the land flowing with milk and honey. So who's saying that they saved among Israel? I already know what the Christian church is saying or what they're trying to expound, and I know what they don't understand, but who's saying that they're saved if they already got it? Because they was having a good old time in the wilderness, right? We're going to see. Let's go now to Numbers chapter 11. I'm done with that graphic. Numbers chapter 11. And we're going to pick this up at verse 4. Numbers 11 and verse 4. Because I'm going to show, as always, the mind wasn't in the right place to take advantage of what was happening. They slept on the opportunity. Numbers 11 and verse 4, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting.
Because it wasn't just Israel in the wilderness, it was a mixed multitude. Many people came out from Egypt. But they did what? They fell a what?
A-lusting.
Lusting after what? We'll find out. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel also wept again. And
now the children of Israel is always weeping. Because as always, they following other people. Oh, they say they want this. I want it too. How come we don't have that, Moses? Go ahead.
And said, who shall give us flesh to eat?
Right.
We remember the fish.
Because the Lord wasn't feeding them flesh. He was feeding them with bread that rained from heaven called angels' food. Go ahead.
Which we did eat freely, which we did eat in Egypt freely. The cucumbers and the melons.
Right.
And the leeks.
Right.
And the onions. And the garlic.
Right. You see where their mindset is at? Physical food. Now you lusting and reminiscing over physical food as if that's going to get you anything. That's going to do nothing but get you to your next meal. Go ahead.
But now our soul is dried away.
But now your soul is dried away because you don't have this menu that you're thinking about in your mind. Go ahead.
There is nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes.
That's what they say. And then we don't have nothing but this manna before our eyes. That's in verse 6.
That was 6.
Give me 10.
Then Moses heard the people weep throughout their family, every man in the door of his tent. And the anger.
So you mean everything is all good when the Lord has Moses split a sea, bring plagues upon Egypt. Everything's all good with Israel at that time. But the moment they don't get something in their stomach that they desire or lust after, the whole thing changes. You have to understand how temporary and how conditional Israel can be. Keep going.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly.
Uh-huh.
Moses also was displeased.
And Moses was also displeased. Verse 13.
Whence should I have flesh to give unto all this people?
So Moses is asking, Lord, where can I get all this flesh to feed all this people with this physical food? Go ahead.
For they weep unto me, saying,
Right.
Give us flesh that we may eat.
Uh-huh.
That was 13.
13, go ahead and jump to verse 18. So he's asking the Lord, he's kind of contending with the Lord as far as how am I going to feed all these people as far as their requests of what they want to eat physically. Verse 18.
And say thou unto the people, Sanctify yourselves against tomorrow.
Right.
And ye shall eat flesh.
Right. So now, hey, clean yourself up. Sanctify yourselves, because tomorrow, oh yeah, you're going to eat flesh. Go ahead.
For ye have wept in the ears of the Lord.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Saying, Who shall give us
In
flesh
other words, the Lord's saying, I've heard your complaints. I've even heard you complain. And go ahead.
Saying, Who shall give us flesh to eat?
Uh-huh.
For it was well with us in Egypt.
Uh-huh.
Therefore the Lord will give you flesh, and ye shall eat.
The Lord will give you flesh. That's where your mind is. You like it, I love it. Keep going.
Ye shall not eat 1 day,
Right.
nor 2 days,
Right.
nor 5 days,
Uh-huh. Not 1 day, not 2, not 5. Keep going.
neither 10 days,
Uh-huh.
nor 20 days,
Right.
but even a whole month.
I'm going to feed you of what you lusted over for a whole month to see if that will suffice you. Go ahead.
Until it come out at your nostrils.
Until it comes out your noses, because that's what you were focused on instead of understanding who you were really eating spiritual bread from. Physical bread always goes away. Always. Spiritual bread doesn't go anywhere. That's why we eating this spiritual bread today that they had a chance to eat back then. Keep going.
And it be loathsome unto you,
Uh-huh.
because that ye have despised the Lord, which is among you, and have wept before him.
So they did what? They despised the Lord, but they esteemed their bellies. Temporary versus eternal. What verse you at?
We at the end of 20.
Go ahead and give me verse 30.
Saying, Why came we forth out of Egypt?
No, is that? Yeah, go ahead. Now go to verse 30.
And Moses gat him into the camp, and the elders of Israel.
Right? Keep going.
And there went forth the wind from the Lord, and brought quails from the sea.
So he's going to use these angels. That's what this wind is. These angels are bringing these quails. Go ahead.
And let them fall by the camp as it were a day's journey on this side.
So I'm going to go ahead and put it 2 cubits high on both sides of the camp. Go ahead.
And as it were a day's journey on the other side.
And on the other side. Go ahead.
Round about the camp.
Round about the camp. Here you go. It's all around you. Eat till you're full. Keep going.
And as it were 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth.
Uh-huh.
And the people stood up all that day, and all that night, and all the next day, and they gathered the quails.
All day, all night, and even a whole nother day just to gather the quails. Go ahead.
He that gathered least gathered 10 homers.
Uh-huh.
And they spread them all abroad from themselves round about the camp.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
And
now they over here prepping, they cooking, they peeling, they are getting ready to consume what they lusted over while they doing all this work and prepping. Go ahead.
And while the flesh was yet between their teeth.
And while the flesh is yet between where?
Their teeth.
While you chewing on what the temporary stuff is, go ahead.
Ere it was chewed,
Right.
the wrath of the Lord was kindled against the people.
But the wrath of the Lord is kindled against the people. They are breaking the dietary law. They're eating something that's unclean. Oh, the mindset was unclean. What they lusted after was the wrong thing. Keep going.
And the Lord smote the people with a very great plague.
A very great plague. Lord took a bunch of your ancestors out. Finish it out.
And he called the name of that place Kibroth Hattaavah.
Uh-huh.
Because there they buried the people that lusted.
So the people that lusted, were they saved from Egypt? Yes. Did they obtain the original promise? No. They forget that this is a long journey. They think this is a sprint versus a cross-country route. Cross-country, you have to pace yourself. Pace yourself. Let's go further. Let's go to Numbers 25. Numbers 25 and verse 1. Numbers 25 and verse 1. Throughout the book of Numbers, the numbers of children of Israel is dwindling. Fewer and fewer and fewer. Numbers 25 and verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And Israel abode in Shittim.
Uh-huh.
And the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab.
So this is after they brought an evil report on the land in Numbers 14. Now they're going to go ahead and turn around and commit whoredom or fornication with women and with false gods. Go ahead.
And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods.
So they said, children of Israel, you can come to our sacrifice of our false god. Go ahead.
And the people did eat.
And they did eat. Go ahead.
And bowed down to their
because
gods.
you notice, if you want to get their attention, what do you have to have nearby? A fish plate. How many churches y'all come out of where they had fish plates in the basement? But you wasn't getting no spiritual food. Keep going.
And bowed down to their gods.
And bowed down to their gods with a full belly. Go ahead.
And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor.
Uh-huh.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord said unto Moses,
Uh-huh.
Take all the heads of the people.
Take all the heads of the people. Go ahead.
And hang them up before the Lord against the sun.
I want them hung up before me before the sun. All these people. Go ahead.
That the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel.
No, not just to get that group of people, but the fierce anger for the other people that's dying may be turned away from them. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto the judges of Israel,
Right.
Slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor.
Put your sword on your side and go and kill every single one of them with a full belly, but that's dealing with idolatry and not focus on the spiritual bread. Go ahead.
And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman.
So why all these people dying in the wilderness? That came out of Egypt because they were saved. You have one so pompous and pious by his position that he was even willing to do this. What's he doing? Keep going.
In the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel,
right,
who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle.
Everybody else crying though. He don't realize that though. He can't read the room. Everybody else crying, but you're going to bring in this woman because you think she looked good. Go ahead.
And when Phinehas, the son the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it,
right,
he rose up from among the congregation.
Phinehas is a grandson of Aaron, son of Eleazar. Go ahead.
And took a javelin in his hand.
He saw that, and he went and grabbed a javelin in his hand. What did he do?
And he went after the man of Israel into the tent. And thrust both of them through the man of Israel.
I'm going to get a 2-for-1. I'm going to kill the Israelite and the stranger that got you hooked up onto this nonsense. And I'm going to do it in front of Moses. I'm going to grab the javelin, and I'll have the spirit to follow through on this. Go ahead.
And the woman threw her belly. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel.
Hold up. It went through him and through her belly? So whatever they was eating's out on the ground now. Go ahead.
And those that died in the plague were 24,000.
Those that died by the Lord killing was 24,000. Dead. Did not cross the finish line. Keep going.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying,
right,
Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest,
right,
have turned my wrath away from the children of Israel.
Well, you know they was going to talk crazy. Well, Phinehas, you know, he just got an evil spirit on him. He just, whatever. But the Lord said, what about him?
While he was zealous for my sake among them.
He was zealous for my sake. Go ahead.
That I consume not the children of Israel in my jealousy.
He was zealous, and by doing this actually saved some other people's lives. Phinehas saved other men's lives because the plague was stayed. Go ahead.
Wherefore say, behold, I give unto him my covenant of peace.
Now I'm going to give unto him my covenant of peace. Go ahead.
And he shall have it.
And he shall have it. Go ahead.
And his seed after him. Even the covenant of the everlasting priesthood.
Right.
Because he was zealous for his God.
Yep.
And made an atonement for the children of Israel.
He made a what?
An atonement.
So you mean that one man can make an atonement unto God? Why? That's why it should be no surprise when Jesus does it. One man can do that. That's the end of verse 13?
That was 13.
Go ahead and give me, keep going.
Now the name of the Israelite that was slain, even that was slain with the Midianitish woman, was Zimri.
Right.
The son of Salu, a prince of the chief house among the
Simeonites.
He was a what? The chief.
He was a prince? He was a prince of a chief house? Because even a prince can get it? You better believe it. Go ahead.
And the name of the Midianitish woman that was slain was Cosbi. The daughter of Zur.
Right.
He was head over a people, and of a chief house in Midian. And the Lord spake unto Moses.
So in other words, even she was somewhat of a big wig back where she came from, because her father was Zer, and he was the chief priest or chief over a group of people over in Midian. Didn't mean nothing when the Spirit of the Lord come upon Phineas. Let's go further. Let's go to Numbers 14. Numbers 14. So apparently, neither of them made it into the land. Their carcasses fell in the wilderness, and their bones are over there somewhere this day. Focused on the wrong thing. Numbers 14 and verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried.
Here go again. Go ahead.
And the people wept that night.
Right.
And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them,
what did they say?
Would God that we had died in the land of Egypt? Or would God we had died in this wilderness?
See, one of the major mistakes the children of Israel makes is while they're speaking against who the Lord is using, they don't realize that every single word is being recorded and will show up on Judgment Day. Every idle word spoken. So that doesn't mean Moses has to hear it, right? Aaron doesn't have to hear it. Lord already got the angels listening. Go ahead.
And wherefore hath the Lord brought us unto this land? To fall by the sword?
Why he bring us into this land to fall by the sword? Go ahead.
That our wives and our children should be a prey?
You know why all this complaint is coming about? This is even about food. This is a lack of faith. He told them, go, take the land. I've delivered them up into your hands. But when all the conditions are right, and as they say, ain't nothing but time, space, and opportunity, what do? Nothing. Non-performers. Keep going.
Were it not better for us to return into Egypt?
Oh, they want to go, but they want to put all that effort into going back versus going forward. Go ahead.
And they said one to another,
right?
Let us make a captain and let us return into Egypt.
Right, let us make us a captain to go backwards. Go ahead.
Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel.
Because you see that this is a people with little to no faith. Go ahead.
And Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent his clothes.
Right,
their clothes.
Because you see how the people respond. But jump down to verse 12. Go ahead.
I will smite them with the pestilence.
That's what the Lord said. I'm going to smite them with a pestilence. Go ahead.
And disinherit them.
But hold up. Brother Jared, we read in Jude that they were saved. Keep going.
And will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they.
In other words, I don't want to do an etch a sketch and start all over. I'm going to use you, Moses. Let me use you. Let me use your seed, Moses, because, 27.
How long shall I bear with this evil congregation, which murmur against me?
Right.
I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel.
He's heard every single murmur. You better believe it. Go ahead.
Which they murmur against me.
Which they do, because ain't nothing new under the sun. Go ahead.
Say unto them,
right?
As truly as I live,
right?
Said the Lord,
right?
As ye have spoken in mine ears,
just as you spoke, that's what's going to come to pass. Go ahead.
So will I do to you.
So will I do it unto you. You see, people don't understand that in the tongue, behold, is life and death, and every single thing is being recorded. Go ahead.
Your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness.
Your carcasses. He didn't even say your bodies. He just called them, because that's what a carcass is, a dead body. Your carcass shall fall in this wilderness. Go ahead.
And all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number,
right?
From 20 years old and upward.
Hold up. According to your whole number, everybody, that's what?
20 years old and upward.
So even knowing what age you are, the Lord knows that too. 20 years old and upward. Go ahead.
Which have murmured against me.
Right.
Doubtless ye shall not come into the land.
Go ahead and jump down to verse 33.
And your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years.
40 years, go ahead.
And bear your whoredoms.
Right.
Until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness.
Keep going.
After the number of the days in which ye searched the land.
Oh, so it was associated with the number of days you were searching, and you came back and brought an evil report. That report's coming to pass, and even the number of days that you were searching the land is going to come to pass back on you. Go ahead.
Even 40 days.
Even 40 days. Go ahead.
Each day for a year.
Each day, you get a year. Go ahead.
Shall ye bear your iniquities.
Right.
Even 40 years.
Right.
And ye shall know my breach of promise.
Now you're going to know my what?
Breach
of promise. The Lord can breach a promise when you breach your end. Go ahead.
I, the Lord, have said, I will surely do it unto all this evil congregation.
Right.
That are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall be consumed.
Right.
And there they shall die.
37.
Even those men that did bring up the evil report upon the land.
Hold up, not just the whole congregation from 20 years old and upward, especially the chief ones that were afraid. The ones that came back, the 10 that came back bringing the evil report. Because Joshua and Caleb didn't bring back evil report, but those 10 men did. They were scared. Finish it out.
Died by the plague.
Died by the plague. Go ahead.
That was 37.
All right. In other words, they started the report and then they proliferated throughout the whole camp. But the Lord remembers who started it and he even dealt with who ended it. Lord doesn't miss anybody. Now let's go further. Let's go to Exodus 34. Because while all this is happening, the Lord still dropped a clue in the middle of the camp. Exodus 34, let's see this clue he dropped. Because it's all fun and games when everything goes your way. But the moment it doesn't go your way, you will see an Israelite appear in spirit. Exodus 34 and 29, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And it came to pass when Moses came down from Mount Sinai.
That's right.
With the 2 tables of testimony in Moses' hand. When he came down from the mount.
Right.
That Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone.
So he's going to get something to benefit them, and he doesn't even realize that the Lord's upgrading his face. His body's being upgraded somewhat. Starting with his head. Go ahead.
While he talked with him.
While he talked with him. Go ahead.
And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses,
right,
behold, the skin of his face shone. And they were afraid to come nigh him.
Right.
And Moses called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him. And Moses talked with them.
Right.
And afterward, all the children of Israel came nigh.
Right.
And he gave them in commandment all that the Lord had spoken with him in Mount Sinai. Until Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face.
So he put a veil on his face because his skin started to shine, and they couldn't just behold his face anymore. So he had to put a veil on for the rest of his life, because you don't read where his skin stopped shining. 35.
And the children of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone, and Moses put the veil upon his face again until he went in to speak with them.
Right, because he would speak to God face to face without the veil. Dropped a huge clue. But let's see what happened to Moses. Deuteronomy 32. Deuteronomy 32. And we're going to pick this up at 49. Deuteronomy 32 and 49. Because in sports, one thing that I will always see, how it would be like track or basketball, once you get a little bit of lead, now you're on cruise control, thinking that you have this thing wrapped up. Now realizing someone's torquing behind you and going to catch and overtake you. Deuteronomy 32 and 49, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Get thee up into this mountain Abarim, unto Mount Nebo.
Mount Nebo, yep.
Which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho. And behold, the land of Canaan.
Because he's talking to Moses. Go up to Mount Nebo and behold the land from this mount. Go ahead.
Which I give unto the children of Israel.
I give unto the children of Israel, the one that's left. Go ahead.
For a possession.
For a possession. Go ahead.
And die in the mount whither thou goest
up. And when you get up there, Moses, die. Why? Go ahead.
And be gathered unto the people.
Right.
As Aaron thy brother died in the Mount Hor.
Just like your brother Aaron died. Go ahead.
And was gathered unto his people. Because ye trespassed against me among the children of Israel.
Oh, because you trespassed against me. Go ahead.
At the waters of Meribah Kadesh.
At the waters of Meribah Kadesh. Go ahead.
In the wilderness of Zin. Because ye sanctified me not in the midst of the children of Israel.
You sanctified me not. Well, how did he not sanctify him? He told him to speak to the rock, but Moses hit it to satiate the physical thirst of a nation of people. Their bellies got Moses killed. Now he has to go up there and die just like his sibling. Let's go further. Let's go to Psalms 95. Because it's a twofold street. Yes, they are to adhere what he's showing them, and he is to not let them push him over the edge and go beyond the commandment of God. See, we think we just showed up here over ships by happenstance, and it was a mistake, and it's everybody else's fault. Read this autobiography. Psalms 95 and verse 7. Psalms 95 and verse 7. When you get there, go ahead and read.
For he is our God,
right?
And we are the people of his pasture, and the sheep of his hand. Today, if ye will hear his voice,
right?
Harden not your heart.
So today is speaking about the moment that David wrote this, because he's always given prophecy. Whenever this day that you hear the truth, harden not your heart. Go ahead.
As in the provocation.
As in the provocation. The children of Israel is considered back in the wilderness the provocation. Go ahead.
And as in the day of temptation in the wilderness.
Right.
When your fathers tempted me.
Right.
Proved me.
Right.
And saw my work.
They saw what I'm able to do. Go ahead.
40 years long was I grieved with this generation.
Because he pronounced judgment on them for 40 years, a year for a day. Go ahead.
And said.
Right.
It is a people that do err in their hearts.
Woo. They do err in their hearts. They focus sometimes not on the bigger picture. Go ahead.
And they have not known my ways.
And they have not known my ways. Go ahead.
Unto whom I swear in my wrath.
Unto whom I swear in my wrath that what?
That they should not enter into my rest.
Now you can't get in his rest. And he did it by an oath. And God doesn't break oaths. So guess who has to show up on Judgment Day? All of them, except for Moses. I see we also said that Joshua and Caleb had a different spirit on them. But he said, I swore that they shall not enter into my rest, and that's future. But let's go to Genesis 14. In other words, we have to take the scenic route sometimes so that people can understand that when someone says, I'm saved, I'm born again, I'm blessed and highly favored, that's when I take out my magnifying glass or my fine-tooth comb and I whittle through what they're saying. That's why the book says that the ear tries words just as the tongue tries meat. Genesis 14 and verse 8. Because that was nothing new with the children of Israel. He did this before if they had eyes to see it. Genesis 14 and verse 8, when you get there, go ahead and read. Let's deal with Abraham a little bit.
And there went out of the king of Sodom,
right,
and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same as Zor.
Right.
And they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim.
Various kings over fighting in that land for various reasons. But we're not going to focus on the reason right now. We're going to jump down to verse 11.
And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah,
right,
and all their victuals,
right,
and went their way.
They took all their victuals. Because what happened is, by that time, Lot was residing in Sodom. But now he was captured, or as they say, kidnapped. Go ahead.
And they took Lot,
right,
Abram's brother's son, whom dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed.
So then they also took Lot. Go ahead, jump down to verse 14.
And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive.
Now he heard that his brother was taken captive, just like in Israel they were captives. Go ahead.
He armed his trained servants.
He armed himself. No fear. Go ahead.
Born in his own house.
Right.
318.
318. Sometimes you don't need the whole squad to go against a city. You just need a few righteous men. Go ahead.
And pursued them unto Dan.
And pursued them unto Dan. That's what that land was later called. Go ahead.
That was 14.
Go ahead and jump down to verse 16.
And he brought back all the goods.
And so Abraham was victorious. brought back all the goods, go ahead.
And also brought again his brother Lot.
And brought again who?
His brother Lot.
His brother Lot. Why am I making a big emphasis on his brother Lot being rescued? Because keep reading.
And his goods.
And his goods.
And the women also.
And the who?
The women.
The women also were brought back. Why is that a big deal? Because Lot and his family were rescued. But what did Jesus say? Remember Lot's wife. She didn't make it when it was time for the other deliverance. She is a pillar of salt to this day. Because yes, you may have been rescued, but you don't understand it's a cross-country race. If you can't be faithful in the little things, how are you going to be faithful in the big things? Now you're going to look back. Right. But you were already rescued at one point. But someone has to open their eyes to see some things in the scriptures. But let's go further. Let's go to Jeremiah 8. Because even after they made it in the land, the entire book of Judges is showing captivity and the deliverance of Israel. From the Mesopotamians, the Moabites, the Canaanites, the Midianites, the Philistines, the Ammonites, the Zidonians, the Amalekites, and even the Maonites. Several people. Captivity, release. Captivity, release. Mm-hmm. Over and over and over again. It's a hamster wheel. So just because you were freed from one group of people didn't mean that you obtained what you really was looking for or what God was looking for out of you. Jeremiah 8 and verse 19. Jeremiah 8 and verse 19. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Behold, the voice of the cry of the daughter of my people, because of them that dwell in a far country.
That's always been the case. You always see that they cried unto the Lord and he heard them and he raised up a deliverer. And then they rebelled against the deliverer. Go ahead.
Is not the Lord in Zion?
Is not the Lord in Zion? In other words, you think I don't exist? Go ahead.
Is not her king in her?
You don't think that the king, the same king that Abraham met with, the king priest doesn't exist? Go ahead.
Why have they provoked me to anger?
Oh, the same provocation. Why have they provoked me to anger? When you provoke him, he does something. Go ahead.
With their graven images.
With their graven images. Go ahead.
And with their strange vanity.
Uh-huh.
The harvest is past.
Uh-huh.
The summer is ended.
Uh-huh.
And we are not saved.
And we have not been saved. You have not been rescued from that far land. But even if you were rescued from the far land, would you make it in the land? He's going to have another test. And we're going to see who has the mettle to go through that. Or who even has to in the first place. That's the end of 21?
That was 20.
Go ahead and keep going.
For the hurt of the daughter of my people am
right.
I hurt.
Uh-huh.
I am black.
Right.
Astonishment have taken hold on me.
Astonish me. I'm astonished at how this is a repeating cycle. Why do you have to keep going through second grade? Second grade. Second grade. At some point, you have to learn how to graduate and get past the basics of your forefathers and their behaviors and their emotionalism and their complacency. Let's go back to Exodus. Exodus 32. He's always in every generation going to raise up someone to open their mouths and open your mind. Every generation. And he's going to even give a double portion in these last days. But who has the ear to hear that? They say they want to go and battle the world. I don't know if they're really ready. Exodus 32. And we're going to pick it up at 31. I had a lot of people say a whole lot of motivational stuff in the locker room, and we get out on the field, all of a sudden you crumbling when we on the field. We don't need motivational speeches no more. We need action. Exodus 32 and verse 31. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And Moses returned unto the Lord.
Right.
And said, oh, this people have sinned a great sin and have made them gods of gold.
Right.
Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin,
right,
and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of the book.
He said, hey, I know they made a huge trespass. If it will be, blot me out that book that you have, Lord. Go ahead.
Blot me.
Keep going.
Blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written.
Right.
And the Lord said unto Moses,
right,
whosoever have sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book.
Whosoever has done the sin, that's the one I'm going to blot out my book. But what is this? What is he revealing unto us? that the same way we have a book, he has a book, and he is taking notes. That's where that RSVP list is. That's why he said, hey, rejoice that your names are written in heaven, because he still has that book. So, but he said, hey, Lord, if it's possible, blot me out that book. But no, he said, no, I'm going to get the one that's it's due for. Let's go to Psalm 69. Psalm 69. Because why do we even have to speak about a book? Because there are some people say that once saved, always saved. And they don't know what they're talking about. That's called a benign platitude, a blank saying. Or as we used to say in the streets, bumping your gums. But don't know what it's really connected to, don't know what you're doing, don't know what you're saying, and think you know what the end result is. Because your mouth moves more than your ears. Psalm 69 and verse 18. 18, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Draw nigh unto my soul.
Right.
And redeem it.
Right.
Deliver me because of mine enemies.
That
was 18.
So he said, deliver me because of my enemies. So he's looking for deliverance. Give me 28.
Let them be blotted out of the book of the living.
The people that's not listening, let them be what?
Blotted.
Be blotted out of the book of the living. It has several different names in the Bible. Now it's called the book of the living. In other places it's called the writings of Israel. Go ahead.
And not be written with the righteous.
And not be written with who?
The righteous.
The righteous. Because the righteous are written in that book. But it's meant to be opened at a particular time and used. Let's go to Revelations 3. Revelations 3. Because if someone is once saved, always saved, then how can someone be blotted out the book that they are written in? Apparently you are not once saved, always saved. When you say you saved, I ask from what? And that's when they start dancing between the raindrops on their answers. Revelations 3 and verse 5. One verse. When you get there, go ahead and read.
He that overcometh.
He that, overcome. The moment you repent from your sins, have you overcame yet, or have you had a change in mind? In other words, I've changed directions after my GPS is off. So I'm going to make a U-turn and turn the other way. Does that mean I made it to the final destination? No. So you have to overcome. In other words, you have to finish the route and get to the end of the destination. Go ahead.
The same shall be clothed in white raiment.
The same shall be clothed in white raiment. So I asked them, have you overcome? Yeah, I overcame. Well, do you have a white raiment on? Well, they're a little dingy. I'm not talking about your physical clothes. I'm talking when your body has been changed. You don't have that, then you have not overcome. That means you're still in the race. Basic. Finish out verse 5.
And I will not blot his name out of the book of life.
Oh, and your name will not be blotted out that book. Go ahead.
But I will confess his name before my Father and before the angels.
So there's a specific time when he's going to confess your name before the Father and the angels. And if that time hasn't happened yet, then what do you have already? Common sense. Ezekiel 18. Ezekiel 18. See, I understand when it says that those that trust in the Lord shall mount upon wings as eagles. Sometimes we call that in track and field, I got that second wind now. I'm going to start torquing. I'm going to start catching up. That second wind hits you. But what happens if your first wind run out? Ezekiel 18 and 20. 18 and 20. When you get there, go ahead and read. Ezekiel 18 and 20, hit it.
The soul that sinneth, it shall die.
The soul, because that means the body. Because a soul can actually die, because a body can actually die. The soul that sinneth, it shall what?
It shall die.
Right. We saw a lot of evidence of that. It says that these were written for our examples. Go ahead.
The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father. Neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son.
Right. So you even saw how Moses said, blot me for their sake. He said, no, I'm going to get the one who deserves to be God. Go ahead.
The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him.
Right.
And the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him.
That's it. Go ahead.
But if the wicked will turn from all his sins.
But if the wicked will turn, that means repent. Go ahead.
That he have committed. And keep all my statutes.
Right, because even after you turn, you still have to do something, right? Keep all his statutes. Not the turning is not the salvation. You have to start doing the work. Go ahead.
And do that which is lawful and right.
Right.
He shall surely live.
He shall surely live. How do you get a retirement party after going to a company if you just started putting in work in your first week? You decided to apply. You decided to interview, and you decided to accept the offer of employment. That doesn't mean you put in your 20, 30 years. In the government, I think it's 20 before you get that pension? You got to put some time in though, right? You got to do something. You don't get it after year 3, do you? You got to go all the way to the end. Basic. Keep going.
He shall not die.
He shall not die. That's talking the second death. Go ahead.
All his transgressions that he have committed,
right?
They shall not be mentioned unto him.
In
his righteousness that he have done, he shall live.
In the righteousness that he's done, he shall live. What verse you at?
That was 22.
Go ahead and give me 24.
But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness,
right,
and committeth iniquity,
right,
and doeth according to all
the abominations, go ahead,
that the wicked man doeth,
that's right,
shall he live?
In other words, shall he live in the second life? Go ahead.
All his righteousness that he have done shall not be mentioned.
So not be mentioned. What do you mean not be mentioned? What do you have to have a time or a moment in time to have something mentioned? Because at the judgment day, your righteousness or your works of evil are going to be mentioned before the Father and before the angels. So yes, you could live a long first life. You could go all the way to 80, 90, 120 and die. And the book says that the sin of your youth will lie in your bones when you go in the grave. But you're not going to live that second life. Go ahead.
In his trespass that he have trespassed.
That's it.
And in his sin that he have sinned.
That's it.
In them shall he die.
In them. That's what brings death. In them shall you die. Because it was a choice. Go ahead. That's in the 24?
That was 24.
Give me 26.
When a righteous man turneth away from his righteousness and committeth iniquity.
That's right.
And dieth in them.
Right.
For his iniquity.
Oh, hold on. So he didn't turn from it. He died in it. Go ahead.
For his iniquity that he have done shall he die.
Shall he die. Right. Go ahead.
Again, when the wicked man turneth away from his wickedness that he have committed, and doeth that which is lawful and right.
And does that which is lawful and right. People are saying you don't have to keep the law, but he's telling if you do that which is lawful and right, what happens?
He shall save his soul alive.
He shall save his soul alive. But when is that salvation coming to pass? At the resurrection, or when you have a chance to get eternal life. Not the first one. Go ahead.
Because he considereth.
Because he considereth, and what?
And turneth away all his transgressions.
That's repenting, turning away from all the transgressions. Go ahead.
That he hath committed. He shall surely live.
Right.
He shall not die.
He shall not die. But everyone is subject to that first death. That's where you see where that came in the Garden of Eden in Genesis chapter 3, when they were kicked out the garden, rather. The sin happened in the garden, they're kicked out, and they decompose and go back to the dust. But let's go now to Job 19, because people still have hope, even though they descend into the dust. Because this is the other salvation that people should focus on instead of the salvation which means deliverance from captivity. Because yes, you could be back home in your land like in the days of Solomon. But why isn't Solomon here with us unto this day? Oh, he died the first death. Job 19 and verse 24. Job 19 and verse 24. When you get there, go ahead and read.
That they were graven with an iron pen and lead in the rock forever.
Actually, yeah, that's right, because he's speaking about having his words written in the book. That his words will be around for us to read this day, but it is. Keep going.
For I know that my Redeemer liveth.
Because I know that my Redeemer lives. Go ahead.
And that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth.
And at the last days, he's going to stand back here on the earth. In other words, he shall return. Go ahead.
And though after my skin worms destroyed this body.
Because he knew that was going to be a long time from his days. So even though I die and skin worms destroy this body, go ahead.
Yet in my flesh shall I see God.
But in this same body that's going to be changed shall I see God. Go ahead.
Whom I shall see for myself.
I will see him for myself. Go ahead.
And mine eyes shall behold. And not another, though my reins be consumed.
And not another. I don't need to look through a proxy or through someone else. I will behold with my own eyes, though my reins be consumed. In other words, even though my brain has become liquefied and returned to the dust, my reins, my thoughts, my imagination is consumed, but I still will see him when he returns. Go ahead.
That was 27.
All right, go ahead now and go to Job 14, verse 12. Job 14 and verse 12. Because when I hear some statements, it's like an iceberg. I can't show everyone beneath the iceberg right away. Sometimes I'll just give a quick answer. But sometimes you got to go deep into, that's why this word is called the deep waters. Everyone can't go in the submarine and get into these deep waters right away. I just keep it surface level, as they say. Job 14 and verse 12. When you get there, go ahead and read, Rashad.
So man lieth down and riseth not.
Right. Man dies and doesn't rise from the dead. Immediately. Go ahead.
Till the heavens be no more.
Right. That's why it said until the heavens be no more. That's when the Lord returns. Go ahead.
They shall not awake, nor be raised out of their sleep.
Right.
Oh, that thou wouldest hide me in the grave.
So in the meantime, all those people have been hidden under the grave, or as they say, we say 6 feet deep. They 6 feet deep underground, hidden in the grave. That means you can't see them. That's why even Abraham brought a plot of land in Hebron and said that I can bury my dead out of my sight, because they're hidden from the eyes of Abraham. You don't see the dead. Go ahead. Even though there's people that are getting ready to celebrate the Day of the Dead in a few days, where they will actually exhume the corpses and have the corpses live among them. They don't realize what they're doing. Go ahead.
That thou wouldest keep me in secret.
Keep me in secret. Go ahead.
Until thy wrath be past. That thou wouldest appoint me a set time.
The set time. It's always a set time. Go ahead.
And remember me. If a man die,
right,
shall he live again?
Right.
All the days of my appointed time will I wait until my change come.
All the days of my appointed time. The same way you don't sometimes just walk into an office and expect to be serviced right away. You set an appointment. There's an appointed time that this change takes place. Go ahead.
Thou shalt call.
Right.
And I will answer thee.
Also, that's what's going to happen when it's your turn. You know how they say take a number? And you go stand, and then they call, and when they call you, now it's time for the interaction to take place. Thou shalt call, and what?
And I will answer thee.
And I will answer. Here I am. Go ahead.
Thou would have a desire to the work of thine hands.
So, what you have desired with the work of your hands, meaning myself, will be fashioned into what you desired mankind to be in the first place. Finish that out.
That was 15.
All right, perfect. Let's go now to Psalm 62. Because Job is speaking about something in the future, but I'm going to show how practical it is in regards to Christ. Because he's called the captain of our salvation. That means he did it first. But this is a salvation that is not talking about being delivered from captivity. He's not being delivered from the Midianites and the Ammonites and the Amalekites and the Zidonians and the Canaanites and the Jebusites. He's not being delivered from them. He's being delivered from the other captive. Psalms 62 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Truly my soul waiteth upon God.
My soul does wait. So because that means my body is waiting upon God. Go ahead.
From him cometh my salvation.
He's the one that's going to bring my salvation. So if you're waiting for salvation, you're saying you're waiting for the Lord, and the Lord isn't here. That means you don't have salvation yet. Keep going.
He only is my rock and my salvation.
Right.
He is my defense.
Right.
I shall not be greatly moved.
I shall not be greatly moved. Go ahead. That's the end of verse 2?
That was 2.
Give me 4.
They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies.
Right.
They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly.
So they're going to speak all that. That surface level conversation. But they're going to do what? They curse inwardly. That's how they dealt with Jesus. The group of people that, survived and made it through to when Jesus came. Go ahead.
My soul,
right?
Wait thou only upon God.
My soul, wait thou on who?
God.
Right. Go ahead.
For my expectation is from him.
My expectation of, in other words, what I expect to get is everlasting life. I will get it when he shows up. My expectation is from him. Keep going.
He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved.
Keep going.
In God is my salvation and my glory.
Right, and my glory. Because you can have a change of glory. In other words, going from physical to spiritual. Keep going.
The rock of my strength.
Right.
And my refuge is in God.
That's right. So that's who you're waiting on. But even though he had died the first death, he said, I'm waiting on him. Just like Job said he's waiting. But Job doesn't go before Christ. So go to Psalm 16. Back up to Psalm 16, and we're going to pick it up at verse 9. Psalm 16 and verse 9. And they say, I'm already saved. I contend with that. Psalms 16 and verse 9. The reason why we have to contend with something like this so hard is because there are Israelites and those that have been taught the truth that now think I've already got it. I'm just like, is there not enough Bible for us to read showing that that's not the case? Psalm 16 and verse 9, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Therefore my heart is glad.
Right.
And my glory rejoiceth.
Right.
My flesh also shall rest in hope.
Oh, so now it's not talking about body, it's just saying flesh. In other words, the same thing. Speaking of the same thing with a different word. Sometimes it says soul, sometimes it says carcass, sometimes it says flesh, and it's still talking about the body doing what? Resting in what? Hope. In other words, I'm looking at something in the future. Go ahead.
For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell.
You will not leave my soul in what?
In hell.
They will not leave Jesus' body in the grave. That's what that's speaking about. Not Dante's Inferno that the Catholics created during the Renaissance period, where Satan's turn around and barbecuing and got a pitchfork and torturing people. That's made up during the Renaissance era. But Jesus' body will not be left in the grave. Go ahead.
Neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption.
And neither will his body decompose. The Holy One won't see corruption, even though the Holy One had died. That's the end of 10?
That was 10.
Perfect. Let's go to 11.
Thou wilt show me the path of life.
That's what the path is. I'm going to show you the other end of this, which is life. Go ahead.
In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore.
Forevermore. In other words, you have to be around forevermore to obtain that. Speaking of the same thing. But let's see what he received. And let's go to Psalms 21. Psalms 21. Let's see what he asked for when he was subject to falling through this first death. Psalms 21 and verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
The king shall joy in thy strength, O Lord.
The king, he shall joy in your strength. Go ahead.
And in thy salvation, how greatly shall he rejoice.
He shall rejoice in thy salvation. Go ahead.
Thou hast given him his heart's desire.
Oh, he had a desire and he received his desire. What was his desire? Keep going.
And has not withholden the request of his lips.
You didn't
Selah.
So he even prayed about it. You didn't hold it back. Go ahead.
For thou prevented him with the blessings of goodness. Thou settest a crown of pure gold on his head.
You set a crown of pure gold on his head. Go ahead.
He asked life of thee.
He asked what?
Life of thee.
Life. Everlasting life. I asked life of thee. Go ahead.
And thou gave it in him. Even length of days forever and ever.
Even length of days forever and ever and ever, because he doesn't die. Go ahead.
His glory is great in thy salvation.
Now he has that great glory because he waited in his flesh rested in hope, but now it has come up in that glory. His glory is great in thy salvation. Go ahead.
Honor and majesty hast thou laid upon him.
Honor and majesty has he laid upon him. The Father blessed Jesus with what he had before. That's why he prayed, Lord, restore unto me with the glory that I had with thee before the world was, in John 17. But this is the thing. If this is what salvation looks like, then why do I only hear a bunch of Israelites speaking about coming out of captivity? If this is what salvation looks like, then how come the people that are saying that they saved don't have this? Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, they're in the hospital because they're still subject to the first death. Because you have not obtained right now. You just speaking on what you don't know about. Let's go to Hebrews 11. And if I could show you that only Jesus hath immortality from death unto life in 1 Timothy chapter 6, then that means you should ask, well, hold up, then where's Abraham? Where's Isaac? Where's Jacob? Where's David? Where's Boaz? Where's all these righteous men that we can name in the Bible? Hebrews 11 and verse 1. We'll let this start walking it down. Hebrews 11 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Now faith is the substance of things hoped for.
That's the substance of things hoped for. Faith, in other words, belief in what is written. Go ahead.
The evidence of things not seen.
The evidence of things that you have not seen yet. Because if you see it, then why do you have faith in it if you've already got it? Give me verse 39. No, I'm sorry. Verse 2. Verse 2, I thought that was verse 2.
For by it the elders obtained a good report.
They obtained a what?
A good report.
A good report. In this chapter, it walks down many people that had died outside of Enoch, but it mentions them, but they obtained a what? A good report. Mm-hmm. If you have a good report, your name is in the book of life. Mm-hmm. In other words, it's like someone has, you have signed your employment agreement. They said what they will pay you. That doesn't mean that the direct deposit hits your bank account yet, right? You up early Friday morning seeing if it hit that thing yet. Because you was going to have a non-sufficient fund fee, $35. Give me verse 39, because it walked down Moses and Abraham and David, various people, but give me 39.
And these all, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise.
They obtained a good report. They did not receive the promise. Does that mean that the Lord is going to break a promise? No, there's an appointed time when the promise comes to pass. Mm-hmm. There's an appointed time when that land will be inhabited with immortal beings and not those that's claiming to be us. There's a set time for this. Give me verse, that's in 39.
Yeah, that was 39.
Give me Acts 22. Because, see, what you want to do is you want to die with a good report. But in the meantime, while you're living, you want to have a good report, so that way you up the ante or the chances of dying with that good report. Acts 22 and 12. Acts 22, verse 12. One verse. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And one, Ananias,
a
devout man according to the law.
Devout according to the what?
The law.
Isn't this New Testament? Didn't Jesus die and resurrect already? But he's righteous according to the what?
The law.
Be careful who's telling you don't keep it. Go ahead.
Having a good report of all the Jews which dwelt there.
Having a what? A good report of all the Jews which dwelt there. He had a good report. Does that mean that he couldn't slip up? Of course he could, because he has not been saved yet. See another example. Let's go to 3 John, or the book of John, 3 John chapter 1. This is right before Jude. 3 John chapter 1. Ananias had a good report while he was still living. So did another person. Give me that one verse. 3 John chapter 1, verse 12. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Demetrius have good report of all men.
Demetrius hath the what?
Good report of all men.
He got a good report. Go ahead.
And of the truth itself.
And of the truth. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we also bear record.
Right.
And ye know that our record is true.
And we bear record that, hey, it's the truth. But he got a good report. But is Demetrius or Ananias saying that I'm saved? I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm born again already. No, he is not. That's why you don't read anyone that's doing this righteous stuff making such a claim, I'll say. Let's go to Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8. See, there are 9 specific verses that they use to codify saying that I'm saved already. But I'm going to show you before we get out of here that while they take a look at those 9s without full context, I'm going to show you many other scriptures that they ignore because it's more than 9. Go ahead and hit Romans chapter 8 and verse 14. Romans 8 and verse 14. When you get there, go ahead and read.
For as many as are led by the Spirit of God.
Many that are led by the Spirit, go ahead.
They are the sons of God.
Mm-hmm. In other words, they are the sons of God. That's what Demetrius and Ananias was. That's what Abraham and those of Hebrews 11 died as. But just because they were a son in name does not mean that they received that sonship by power. That comes later. Go ahead.
For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear.
Right.
But ye have received the spirit of adoption.
The spirit of what?
Adoption.
The spirit of adoption. Adoption day is not here yet. You are on the adoption list in the book of life to be adopted by God, to go from flesh and blood unto a spirit being. Go ahead.
Whereby we cry, Abba, Father.
Right now, you could just cry, Abba, Father, or that is your father, and not Satan being your father. That's what you're doing at this point. Go ahead. What verse is that?
We just finished 15.
All right, finish 15. Keep going.
The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit.
Right.
That we are the children of God.
That we are the children of God. This is talking about your righteousness as of now. But go ahead and jump down to verse 18.
For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time
Of this what?
Present time.
Present time. Present tense. Right now. The sufferings of this present time, go ahead,
are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us.
So that cannot be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. We saw the glory that was revealed in Christ. He gave a preview in Matthew 17 with the transfiguration. Shall be revealed. Go ahead.
For the earnest expectation of the creature.
The earnest expectation. When you have an expectation, hey, I would love to go to Ruth Chris or Fogo the Child and have an expectation for the food to come. I turn it over to Green. I have an expectation. That doesn't mean they showed up with it yet, does it? Go ahead.
Waited for the manifestation of the Son
now,
of God.
how many of y'all been at a restaurant waiting for the manifestation or waiting for it to show up, waiting for them to come out with the food? But that doesn't mean you haven't yet. You wait. Go ahead.
For the creature was made subject to vanity,
not
willingly, but by reason of him who have subjected the same in hope.
Right. So we all are subject to vanity. In other words, this flesh dies. It's like vanity. It's here for a moment and it's gone. But now we all have been subjected in going or reaching for that same hope of life. Go ahead.
Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption.
Oh, the creature. Because that's what the Lord is calling us. A creature shall be delivered from this bondage. Go ahead.
Into the glorious liberty of the children of God.
Oh, that's the glorious liberty. But that children of God is when you get it, when your body changes over. Now you have been given liberty over what? The grave. Mm-hmm. Now you have overcome. The same that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved.
That was 21.
Go ahead and jump down to 23.
And not only they, but ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves.
Now, what's he saying, the first fruits of the Spirit? That doesn't mean that they came out the ground. In other words, they're some of the first apostles and disciples doing this work. The first fruits of the Spirit to revive other people. That's why you see Paul speak about other people he was waking up. He said, they are the first fruits unto me from Achaia. I had started something over here, and some of the first ones to pop up were considered the first fruits of the Spirit. Go ahead.
Even we ourselves grown within ourselves, waiting for the adoption.
Waiting for the what?
The adoption.
You're waiting for the adoption. He has not showed up to adopt you yet, so how are you already saved? Waiting for the adoption. Go ahead.
To wit, the redemption of our body.
To have the redemption of our body, because when he adopts you, you are no longer what you were before. You are now what he is, because you have been allowed to be adopted into the spirit being family. But you have to have knowledge to read. See, that's the thing. People just jump in Paul's letters and don't know what he's talking about. And they end up twisting their own selves into destruction, as the book says. That's the end of 23?
That was 23.
All right, go ahead and jump down to verse. No, keep going. Go through to 25. Mm-hmm.
For we are saved by hope.
So it said, Brother Jared said saved, but it said we are saved by what?
Hope.
Hope. I have an expectation. I'm hoping for something, so I don't have it yet. Go ahead.
But hope that is seen is not hope.
Right. So if you already see it, then you ain't hoping for it. Go ahead.
For what a man seeth,
right?
Why did he yet hope for?
Right. See, that's the thing. Even Moses still had to hope for it because, yes, his face changed, but the rest of his body didn't, and that's why he could still die. So even he had an expectation to have that full changeover, so that way he's not hoping for it because he was still subject unto death. Go ahead.
But if we hope for that we see not, then do we.
So if I don't see Brother Rashad beaming his light, if Brother Rashad can't jump in a fire and disappear and walk through walls, so if we hope for that which we see not, then what?
Then do we with patience wait for it.
Then you are waiting for it. So these saved people, when are they saved? Not yet. We're still waiting. We're going to point what they're waiting on. Give me 34. I'm going to show you what they use to try to substantiate saying that they've already got it. 34.
Who is he that condemneth?
It
is Christ that died,
right?
Yet rather that is risen again. Who is even at the right hand of God,
right?
Who also maketh intercession for us.
Right. So it's exalting God, but it's trying to say, who is he that condemneth? That's what he's saying. But go ahead and jump down to verse 38.
For I am persuaded.
Right.
Neither death,
nor
life,
nor
angels, nor principalities, nor powers,
right,
nor things present,
right,
nor things to come,
right, nor things present, nor things to come. Go ahead.
Nor height,
nor
depth, nor any other creature,
Go ahead.
Shall be able to separate us from the love of God.
See, that's how I know I'm saved, because nothing can separate me from the love of God, as what they say. Go ahead.
Which is in Christ Jesus our Lord.
Which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. You notice how they see all this here, but see, when you have a trained eye, you see what you don't see. What don't I see here? I see here, let me get the graphics ready, but I see death, life, angels, principalities, powers, things present, things to come, height, depth, any other creature shall be able to separate us, but he did not say sin. Because that will separate you from God if you had understanding to see what is not written. That will separate you. So when they see various scriptures, I stop and I say, you grab this little bit out of context and then take in all these other pieces of context. Matthew 22, Jesus says, you shall be saved. Shall be, should be, might be, shall be. Do I have to keep going? Should be, shall be saved. If that's not enough for you, saved by hope. Shall be, might be, shall be, maybe, might be, to be, shall be, scarcely be, and in Revelation 21, it's going to show which are saved.